Yeah, true. Thank you very much. I think that's a very important question, and it's a question that people ask a lot, because if you track back to the early 1950s and 1960s when Korea actually started. So Korea as a whole started as a country after the war, because there was this very there was this war between both Koreas. I mean, there's the North Korea and South Korea. So there was this war that just finished in the 1950s. So I mean, a country out of war, lost almost everything. Infrastructure was down. So as at the early 1950s, Korea was almost at par with Nigeria. I mean, in terms of infrastructure, earning wise, GDP and all. So Korea was obviously a very very poor, country as at that time, and was almost on the same level with Nigeria as at that time. So fast track 1950 to 2026, we see where Korea is now and we see where Nigeria is now. I mean, the difference the difference is clear. Just like, I wouldn't say day and night, but I'm just saying that the difference is so clear, even to a blind man. I mean, these are two countries that were almost on same scale starting out in the 1950s, but today one country is way ahead. I mean, where one country is just so way ahead from the other countries. So these are questions that people keep on asking. How did Korea do it? And there's a famous term that this particular thing is called. It's called the miracle of the Han River. So I mean, people tend to see it as a miracle because no country has done what Korea did. So it's actually termed a miracle, which is called miracle of the Han River. So Han River is a popular river here in South Korea. And one thing that is surprising to me and to everyone is that Korea as a country does not have any natural resource. So I mean, you can see that in Nigeria, at least we have like crude oil, we have gold, and then other rich countries like Saudi Arabia and the rest of them, you can see that they have maybe something to sell. They have like a natural resource to sell. They have gold, they have minerals to sell. But Korea as a whole does not have any natural resource. I mean, no gold, no silver, nothing, no oil. So what they have is a human resource, and that is what almost every country has. So I mean, instead of complaining and all, I think one thing that Korea did was they had to look inward. I mean, since we don't have this thing, they try to look at, okay, what do we have? And what they have obviously is they have the people. And then, so one thing I would say is responsible for Korea's drastic transformation over the years. For me, I would say is hard work. Yes, maybe hard work or the working culture here. Maybe we can't even say this is all about Korea, but then if you look in general, I mean, Asia, in most of the prosperous Asian countries, they have a very very diligent working culture. Even China too is another country that transformed from poverty into a lot of wealth. So we can see that one of the things I would say is a very very is a factor behind this, is that these countries, they work very very hard. I mean, there's this famous term that is being given to work life in China. So it's called 996. So in case you are hearing that for the very first time, so what 996 means is 996 means like 9 to 9 6 days a week. So how like maybe in Africa and in other countries we go to work by 8 a.m. and come back by 4 p.m. I mean, in most Asian countries like China, for example, they do the 996 pattern, even though not everywhere, but I mean is standard. So 996 is 9 to 9 6 days a week. So you resume work by 9 a.m. and you close by 9 p.m. and you do that for 6 days a week. So they have a very very strong working culture. And one thing I've observed is maybe this working culture is we can pin that to most developed countries, because there's no way you can achieve a lot of prosperity without putting in the work. And then I'm Christian though, so if you look at a particular part of the Bible, it talks about it says that seest thou a man diligent in his work, he will stand before kings and not mere men. So we can see that one of the factors behind Korea's transformation, I'll say it for a fact, is the working culture they have. They have a very, very strong working culture. I remember one of those days, that was in 2023, 2024. I had this interview with somebody in Austria. Yeah, Austria as at that time. So when we're actually chatting, so he was now like, okay, that how many hours per week do I work? Like, so like if I come on board, how many hours per week can I work? Or like how many hours per week do I normally work? So I told him that, oh, okay. So I was calculating normal hours a week, maybe from 9 to 3 p.m. So when I told him, he just laughed and he said, no, that I mean that they work very, very hard. They work harder than what I think. So I would say that working culture too, they have very, very good working culture. They work very, very hard. And then secondly, again, another factor I would say is that Korea as a country is futuristic. So if you follow trends, and then if you follow the news, you would see that lately there's an AI boom, right? So there's an AI boom. So this AI boom has led to a boom in another industry known as semiconductor. So if you're not a technical person, but semiconductors are like the chips. It's like the chips you find in your phones, in your TVs, and almost every kind of gadget. So AI boom has actually led to another boom in another industry. So Korea, like the last 2 to 3 years, excuse me, Korea as a whole has really benefited from this semiconductor boom. I mean, they have made lots of money from in that sector. But one thing people don't know is it didn't start today. So I mean, Korea didn't just wake up and just try to harvest a lot of money from this semiconductor market. This is something that they deliberately planned. I mean, it's something that the government has been investing in for at least the last 5 to 6 years. So it has been a deliberate, effort. So I'm saying that even before people even got to know about AI and semiconductor systems, I mean, these people had already started planning and positioning themselves for the future. And then if you read the country's history, you find out that when Korea was a poor country, they actually started building. So when they were actually building, they kept on building, and they actually kept on forecasting for the future. So most times they have like a 10-year plan, and then they have like a 5-year plan. So they are very futuristic in nature. So what I've said so far, number one, I've talked about hard work, and then secondly, I've talked about planning for the future. And I'll just like to round up this point with a story. So for me here, I work with a research institute here. So we actually work closely with the government, and then we have access to a couple of things. So there was, I think last year we had a closed and indoor program where we're talking about how to properly position for the future. And then I got to understand that, I mean, Korea is a country, I know that there's 5G, and most countries are already accessing 5G and enjoying 5G. But what we have here now, nobody's talking about 5G again. So what we are doing now is we are now trying to see how as a country we can properly position for 6G. So this is what is on the table now, how to properly position for 6G. So tomorrow now, other countries may wake up and then start to struggle on how to adapt and maximize 6G. But as a country, Korea has since already positioned herself to benefit maximally from 6G as a whole. So I mean, so these are like points to say that this is what I think is responsible for the country's prosperity. And I think that this is what Africa and then Nigeria can also learn from. Good working working culture and being futuristic too. Thank you.